Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to our Kartik month special. Today we're going to continue with the pastimes of little Krishna and all the mischief that he's about to do. We were looking at the 8th chapter of Canto 10 yesterday, and here the chapter concludes. The entire chapter, it begins with the naming ceremony, and then it concludes with Krishna eating mud. Lot of the gopis come to complain to Krishna. He's stealing butter from our house. He lies when we catch him. He says, I'm not a thief, you're a thief. He breaks the pots. He urinates in the puja room. If he's upset, he pinches the babies. He pours water into their ears. And like this, the Lord has been caught stealing from different houses. And so the elderly gopis would experience a lot of bliss while speaking about such pastimes of the Lord, because practically speaking, they were narrating what the Lord had done. So Krishna and Balaram are growing up, they are walking, they are getting into all kinds of mischief. So we can understand that normally any child from the age of probably 2 to 3.5, 4 gets into a lot of physical mischief and physical trouble. Yeah, that's when they exasperate their mother, because the mother doesn't know what to do with the child, because the child is just so stubborn and obstinate and doesn't want to listen. You know, if you say no, it means yes in the child's ears. So like this, the pastimes are going on. So the Gopas have come and complained to Mother Yashoda that your son is eating mud. And Balaram was equally concerned, that his younger brother is eating mud. So he promptly goes and informs Mother Yashoda, your son is eating mud and you need to address this right away. So Krishna gets chastised by his mother for being restless, for being naughty, for not being able to speak the truth. Of course, Krishna denies vehemently that he has ever eaten mud. The entire universe is in his belly. So what is the question of eating mud? Yeah. Acharyas explained that after all, it was Bhumi Devi who sought his help and intervention. And Krishna, by putting Mother Bhumi into his mouth, has said, don't worry, I'm here. I'm here, you asked me to come here, and I'm here. And so even though Krishna lies and says, I've never eaten dirt, all my friends who are complaining about me, they are just jealous of me, they don't have anything better to do. They're just concocting all the stories to convince you and try to get me into trouble. Their whole objective is to get me into trouble. So definitely they are going to make up some stories saying, I have eaten mud. If you really believe them, you can check my mouth. Just, see for yourself. And Mother Yashoda calls his bluff and says, okay, chalo, open your mouth, let me see. And even though the Lord did not want to reveal his opulence, somehow or the other, this is the second time Mother Yashoda sees the cosmic form of the Lord within the Lord's tiny little mouth. So when Krishna opened his mouth wide, again, Mother Yashoda becomes very, very bewildered by what she had seen. And she begins to pray to Narayana, saying, I don't know who's this child. Is he a special demigod? Is he a devata? Or, he seems to have some mystical powers. I'm not able to understand this. I'm thinking I'm the queen and, everybody is my servant. I own all these cows, that Krishna is my son and Nanda Maharaj is my husband. I'm not sure I can really understand Yogamaya. So Krishna smiles at his mother when he realizes that her head is reeling with confusion and bewilderment. And when he smiles, Mother Yashoda immediately forgets what he has seen. And she feels her affection just growing unlimitedly for her child. So Shukadev Goswami says, that Supreme Lord whose lotus feet is aspired for millions and millions of years by jnanis and yogis, that Supreme Lord was being considered by Mother Yashoda to just be an ordinary child. And Parikshit Maharaj is so moved by this pastime, he wants to know who are these two personalities. And we find out that in a previous birth, they were Drona and Dhara. And they had asked for the benediction that the Lord should come as their child and perform his childhood pastimes to attract the Jivatmas back to him. And Brahma says, Tadastu. And therefore they come as Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda. So it is an early morning day in the house. Nobody is there other than Mother Yashoda and Krishna. Why was the house empty for this special pastime? Well, Mother Rohini and Balaram have been invited to the house of Upananda, the older brother of Nanda Maharaj. So Nanda Maharaj had gone to take them and drop them off to his brother's place, which was not too far off. At the same time, Mother Yashoda was thinking, I'm getting so many complaints. I just cannot understand why my son has to go to other houses to take yogurt, to take butter, to drink buttermilk. She was feeling a little uncomfortable with the fact that Krishna was going to other houses to get the items that are very readily and opulently available in her house. So it's the day of Diwali. It is early morning. And Mother Yashoda has instructed all the different maidservants to be occupied with some other work. Usually the maidservants would make all of these nice items that Krishna would consume. But today Mother Yashoda thought maybe there is some deficiency somewhere. And I should personally prepare for my son the best butter, the best sweetmeats, the best milk, the best yogurt, the best buttermilk. See, everybody wants to serve the Lord. And when you are, so technically speaking, Nanda Maharaj was not a Kshatriya, they are Vaishyas. But still they were looked upon as a king and queen among the Vrajavasis. So everybody looked up to them. So Mother Yashoda had many, many maid servants to take care of everything and to run the household smoothly. And I was listening to a class by His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj on the Damodar Leela yesterday. And Maharaj was saying how all the maid servants of Mother Yashoda, all they wanted to do was to take care of all of the work and all of the sevas so that Mother Yashoda could spend more time with Krishna. So that was the mood in which they were serving the Lord, that the mother could have more time with the child, right? That is why we have servants, so that we can spend more time with our children, and maid servants can take care of all of the other things. But this time Mother Yashoda thought, I want to do the service myself. I want to personally ensure that Krishna, perhaps if I make these items and feed him today on this auspicious day of Diwali, maybe he will stop going to other homes for this. So, hence, Krishna is all alone with Mother Yashoda in the big house. It's very early in the morning, and Mother Yashoda slowly slips out of bed so that the child is not awoken. So she puts a pillow next to Lala, so he thinks that his mother is still there with him, and she prepares herself to step into the kitchen. So she takes a bath and she goes into the kitchen, and she puts a huge pot of Padmagandha milk on the stove. to boil. Now, this is a special breed of cows that Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj had, that were fed the finest of grasses, that were taken care of very lovingly. And it is said this Padmagandha cows, the milk is very fragrant. It is thick. It is creamy. So Mother Yashoda was thinking, from the most precious of milks from the Padmagandha cows, which are rare, I will prepare for my son all of the nice food stuff that he's going to other houses to take. So on the stove, she's put a big pot of milk. In a room next to the kitchen, she has got a huge pot of yogurt that she begins to churn. It's early morning. So if you're all alone at home, what will you do early morning? As you're churning the butter, she was thinking of all of Krishna's pastimes. And she starts composing songs to narrate the pastimes of Krishna. So she's singing to herself. Her bangles are clinking on her arms. They're tinkling. She's dressed in yellow garments with a belt tied around her hips. And she starts laboring, pulling the rope this way and that way with her left hand and her right hand. So as she was moving and singing, everything was very, very musical. So Sankirtan was going on. The bangles were accompanying her. The earrings were moving to and fro as her body was moving and shaking. And her eyebrows began to be covered by perspiration. And the flowers in her hair, the malati flowers, begin to fall down on the floor all around her. So as Mother Yashoda was singing and absorbed in thinking about her child's pastimes, Krishna woke up on the bed, searching for his mother. And he was thinking, how could she leave me so early in the morning? He was hungry. So the bed was at a particular height. He couldn't just jump off the bed. So he turns onto his stomach and slides down the edge of the bed. And he goes in search of his mother. He is hungry. And as he approaches the room, what does he see? Mother Yashoda singing. And he sits on her lap, and at the same time, with his right hand, he catches hold of the rod that she's churning. And Mother Yashoda was very, very pleased. She thought, my son is so intelligent. He knows how to stop me from doing my work. He's caught hold of the rod and not letting it go, because that means if the rod is held, she has to stop churning. She cannot churn anymore. So recognizing that her son is very hungry, she begins to feed him and look at him very, very lovingly. Meantime, the milk on top of the stove is thinking, here is my chance to do seva for Krishna. If I don't get an opportunity to do seva for Krishna, I may as well die. So the milk overflows on the pot and hits the flame with a hissing sound. The minute Mother Yashoda hears this hissing sound, she just abruptly puts Krishna on the floor and runs to the kitchen to save the milk. Krishna was not happy. He was very angry. His belly was not full. His hunger was not slaked. How can a mother put the child down when the child is not satisfied? How could she do that? So that made the child very, very, very angry. So he was biting his lips and tears started coming in his eyes. With a great deal of anger, he picks up a stone and breaks open the pot with yogurt. He was anticipating that there would be butter in it. He was searching for it all over the floor. He couldn't find much because the churning process had just begun, so there was no butter in the pot. It was just yogurt that was being churned. Feeling extremely upset that there was no butter in the pot that could fulfill his hunger, he goes to the room where he knows the butter pots are hung up high. So he enters the room and he realizes he can't reach the butter pot. So he sees a wooden mortar in the room, the wooden mortar that is used for grinding spices. And so he turns it upside down and somehow manages to climb onto the mortar. And he stands on top of the mortar, takes the butter out of the butter pot, and he starts eating this butter. Eventually, the monkeys are there hanging around outside the window, and he begins to feed the monkeys. Every now and then, Krishna knew that his mother is not going to be happy when she finds out what he has done. So every now and then, he would look over his shoulder to see, is somebody coming? Is somebody coming? So he was being very cautious, like a proper thief. A thief who is stealing is always going to look over his shoulder. A thief who's doing something wrong out of a sense of guilt is always going to look over his shoulder. And that's what Krishna was doing. He was looking over his shoulder, very nervous, but at the same time, very happy that he was taking butter, feeding the monkeys. So Mother Yashoda, in the meantime, has stepped into the room. She notices the pot is broken. There is yogurt all over the floor. And she thinks, this must be Krishna's mischief. She's very angry. So she picks up a stick in her hand, thinking, this is way too much. She's exasperated with Krishna. She's still thinking about all the complaints she has received. You know, every time a parent receives complaint about their child, they feel helpless. They feel angry. They feel angry at their child. They feel angry at the people who have complained. So Mother Yashoda was very angry. She was thinking, oh my God, this little boy has gone too far. Now, Krishna was not a very smart thief. You know, he leaves evidence behind. His footprints made with this buttermilk were all over the place. So Mother Yashoda knew exactly where Krishna was because he gave her the direction to come and reach him. So with a stick in her hand, she comes up behind him very, very slowly without making a noise. And suddenly Krishna turns his head around and sees his mother with a stick raised in her hand. So this, Shukadeva Goswami says, this Paramatma that yogis are trying to capture by meditating on his lotus feet, this Paramatma, who they have such difficulty in reaching him, this Paramatma runs away from his mother in fear. He just jumps off the mortar and begins to run. And simultaneously, he's crying. Because now you're caught, what else are you going to do? You're going to cry. Maybe crying will make Mother Yashoda not chase him with a stick in her hand. So like this, the chase begins. The devotee is chasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the courtyard. Now, Mother Yashoda was much older lady. She was in, you could say, middle age, right? She was a little overweight. And so Krishna runs zigzag in the courtyard, thinking, okay, if I change direction very swiftly, this heavy-set lady will not be able to catch me because she can't catch me. So the chase begins and Mother Yashoda gets tired because Krishna is running this way and that way. Her hair comes loose and she's just not able to catch Krishna. And all along, Krishna is still turning around, looking at his mother to see, she's so far away, she's not going to catch me. I'm much faster than my mother. How can she catch me? So he is convinced that his mother cannot catch him, and so he slows down to catch his breath. And just as he slows down, his mother catches his arm from behind. And now Krishna is really panicking. He is thinking, she is finally going to beat me with that stick. So Mother Yashoda is looking at Krishna. Krishna is looking at Mother Yashoda. She is very angry with him. Even though he was sobbing, tears were flowing from his eyes. The mascara that she had applied was just, becoming messed up on the cheeks. The Lord was using his knuckles to rub both his eyes. This way he smeared all the ointment all over his face. And Mother Yashoda couldn't help but be attracted to this most beautiful vision of the Lord crying out of a sense of fear. And she starts chastising him. At the same time, she was thinking, maybe I'm being too harsh. So it was a mixture of love and anger and fear. Now, Mother Yashoda knew that Krishna was restless. And her biggest fear was that if she scolds him too harshly, that he would run away from home. He was quite capable of doing that. So who could bind Krishna? So fearing that she had chastised him too much, she decides, I still have work to finish up in the kitchen. Let me tie him up to this mortar. So maybe for a few hours he will stay still. And therefore she goes in search of a rope. She throws her stick away. And Krishna by now has confessed. He said, yes, 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 that was me, but please don't hit me. I'm so sorry. I was just hungry. Why did you not complete the feeding? So his Shripad Harishauri Prabhu writes commentary on this particular shloka. Why was the Lord angry with Mother Yashoda? He is Atma Ram. He is fully self-satisfied. He didn't need the milk, but yet he was crying like as if he had been deprived of something that he already didn't possess. So the Lord is saying, when I come into your life, all your attention should be on me. You shouldn't focus on petty things, material things, because if you focus on material things, you will lose sight of me. And you will have a loss much greater than the milk overflowing the pot and hitting the fire. So why do you want to prioritize the milk on the pot when the Supreme Lord is there, right there in front of you on your lap? This human form of life is so rare. So therefore, to be able to practice Krishna consciousness is even more rare. So why would we give up Krishna consciousness to focus on mundane activities in life? And when Mother Yashoda chases Krishna, the devotee then realizes she should not have focused on the milk, because having focused on the milk, Krishna disappeared from her eyesight. And she had to now chase him. So by focusing on the milk, she momentarily lost Krishna. And now she's trying to bring him back. So with every step a devotee is taking towards Krishna, Krishna is coming closer and closer to that devotee, until finally the devotee binds him with their love. So here Mother Yashoda has gone in search of ropes. She's found some ropes and she tells Krishna, stand still. And the Lord obeys this time, because he was thinking he has exhausted his mother. See, this is just a pastime, right? In that whole chase, Krishna was thinking, my mother is tired. She's perspiring completely. Maybe I should not carry this Leela on for too long. She may just collapse from exhaustion of chasing him. So somewhere along the way, he had a little pity for Mother Yashoda and he slows down. And that's when Mother Yashoda catches him. Now, again, the various Shakti potencies of the Lord come into the picture. Mother Yashoda wants to bind the Supreme Personality of Godhead to a wooden mortar with a rope. Do you think the Shakti potencies are going to allow her to do it that easily? No. So when she tries to bind the child, the rope was always the 2-finger width length short. So she would go in search of another rope, and the same thing would happen again. She would tie the ropes together, and when she tries to bind Krishna, the rope was always 2-finger lengths short. Every time it was 2-finger lengths short. By now, Krishna's crying has attracted the attention of the neighbors. They are all gathered there in the courtyard, watching the fun unfold. They're laughing at Krishna. They're laughing at Mother Yashoda. They're smiling and thinking, oh my God, what a lovely sight. Look at Lala standing still in front of the mortar, waiting to be tied by his mother. So since Mother Yashoda was not able to tie her child, no matter how many times she tried with different ropes, she finally asked for help from the Sakhis. And the Sakhis would run to their houses and bring some more rope, and still it will be 2-finger lengths short. So by now, Mother Yashoda was completely exhausted. And when Lala saw his mother was so fatigued, he became merciful to her and agreed to be bound. The minute the Lord in his mind thought, okay, chalo, let her bind me, the rope tied a knot around Krishna. So Shukadev Goswami is in ecstasy narrating this particular pastime. And he tells, O Maharaj Parikshit, this entire universe with great devatas like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Lord Indra, they are all under the control of the Supreme Lord. This Supreme Lord who has these transcendental attributes unlimitedly, he has come under the control of his pure devotee, Mother Yashoda. He has been bound not by the ropes, but by the pure love that Mother Yashoda had for Krishna. So Lord Shiva does not have this fortune. Lord Brahma does not have this fortune. Even Lakshmi Devi does not have this fortune, and she is, after all, the better half of Narayana. None of them got this mercy from the Supreme Lord, except for Mother Yashoda. She received the mercy of the Supreme Lord so that she could bind him. And Shukadev Goswami tells Maharaj Parikshit, this is not easy. So many yogis are spending millions of years doing intense austerities. So many jnanis are trying to understand the Lord through the Vedas. Yet, a simple woman like Yashoda has conquered the Lord simply out of her pure love for him. Right? So Mother Yashoda has tied up Krishna in the courtyard. And Krishna is seeking sympathy. He wants to be untied. So Mother Yashoda has gone back into the kitchen. The gopis have also gone back to their respective houses thinking, okay, now that he has been punished, let's not interfere. But the Gopa boys were there. And Krishna would tell the boys, see, my mother is so tough with me. She's been so harsh with me. She's chastised me. I didn't do anything wrong. Can't I have butter in my own house? And while he was pleading with his friends, just untie me. Because this is such an embarrassing situation to be tied up like this in front of all the little boys. It was just an opportunity for the boys to tease Krishna. So some of the boys tried to untie Krishna, but they were not very successful. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't untie the knot. So this pastime takes an entire day. The Acharyas explained that Mother Yashoda is chasing Krishna for hours and hours and hours. It's not just a few minutes. It takes her a long time to tie down the Lord. So the whole day has almost gone with Mother Yashoda chasing Krishna in the courtyard. And so Balaram is coming back. Mother Rohini is coming back from the visit. And when Balaram sees that his Supreme Lord, his worshipable Lord, is tied up like a thief, like a petty thief, and being punished, he gets very upset. And Krishna wants to take advantage of his brother's sympathy. He adds fuel to the fire by saying, see, she's very unjustly tied me. What she did was wrong. So please, Dauji, please untie me. So Balaram tries his best to untie his worshipable Lord, and he's not able to untie the knots. The knots tied by a Vatsalya Ras cannot be untied by another Ras. So he goes in search of Mother Yashoda. He's very upset. He's very angry. He's got his hands on his hips and he confronts Mother Yashoda. You have to remember, Balram would have been maybe 4 or 5 years old. So it's not like he's a teenager. Imagine a tiny little boy confronting Mother Yashoda. So he goes to Mother Yashoda and he says, do you know who Krishna is? What he meant was, do you not know he's the Supreme Lord? Mother Yashoda says, yes, that's my Krishna. I know him very well. So do you not know he has taken so many different avatars in different millenniums? Mother Yashoda was not impressed. Acha, so you think he has come as Lord Ram, and Lord Narsimhadev, as Kurmadev, all in my backyard? So Mother Yashoda is not at all impressed by Balaram's argument, the honest argument that he's putting forth, that this is a Supreme Lord you have tied down. Don't you know he comes in the ferocious form of Lord Narsimha? Don't you know he's come as Lord Ram? He has come in different avatars and you have the temerity to tie him up? And Mother Yashoda says, look, she picks up a stick and says, I don't care about all the avatars. If you don't run from here, I will tie you up also. So Mother Yashoda threatens Balaram, saying, I'm not impressed with your philosophy and with your arguments. I don't care. If you don't disappear from here, you will suffer the same fate as Krishna has suffered. I will tie you up as well. So this is the sweet exchange between two devotees who love the Lord intensely. One devotee is thinking, how can my Lord be tied down like this? It's not right. And another devotee thinking, that's my son. I have every right to tie him up if he stepped out of bounds. So two devotees, pure love for the Lord, clashing with each other in this scenario where Balaram is trying to put forth and become an attorney, defending Krishna. That Krishna can do anything he wants. He's a Supreme Lord. What's the big deal if he steals some butter? That belongs to him. So Balaram was in a different mood. Mother Yashoda was in a different mood. In this particular pastime, they were experiencing different rasas, right? So Krishna is still bound, unfortunately, because Mother Yashoda said, I don't care what kind of attorney you are and what kind of case you put forth in front of me. As a judge, I am not very impressed. So case dismissed, you please keep walking. I have work to do. So Mother Yashoda, like this, goes back into the household, and the Damodar Leela continues. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Damodar Leela ki jai.